r/ask women. What's the most cringe first date you've had? A guy that was super into himself and thought to the baristas I was working on my masters at the time. And so we came, but it was almost like he made it a competition over whose degree was harder, like it all sucks. And then he ordered a drink and was like, you know how to make that right? I know not many people order it, and it's pretty complicated. I asked him if he'd even been a barista before to be able to talk about the difficulty of the drink or the rarity of it, and he was like, got no ducking down sugar. It was everything you'd seen in some poorly produced 80s wrestling video about how to not act on a first date. Anyone that rude to servants is a big red flag now. Yeah, never saw him again. Told him I was too busy with school, and he said something shady about how my degree couldn't be that hard. Confirmed douche. Bye. The level of arrogance was just the most cringe thing I've ever experienced. And like the stuff he bragged about was not even that cool. This guy took me to a restaurant and ate all of my garlic knots in front of me, and then started saying all this stuff about how horrible women were and they need to learn to respect men, and how he hated his sister for dating a black guy. Then when we got back in his car he started unbuckling his pants and said, hey, wanna give me a blowjob? I said that I would just walk and thanks, but no thanks. He texted me after trying to set up our second date. Blocked. I'd have gotten up and left as soon as he ate my garlic knots without permission. Same. It's one thing to share and another thing entirely to scarf down my garlic knots without consent. This is one I've blocked from my memory because it's so cringy. To preface, this was early high school and it's a guy I had done theater with, so we were friends beforehand. It was the 4th of July and I went to a restaurant with him and his family. After dinner, there were fireworks set off in view of the balcony where our table was. So we all sat with blankets and watched. His mom was sitting on one side of me and he was on the other side of me. He and I shared a blanket and he kept trying to shove his hands up my shirt and down my pants under the blanket. As if his mom wasn't sitting directly next to me and it wasn't obvious what he was doing despite the blanket. He did not understand the word no. I want to die every time I remember that this happened to me. I broke up with him very shortly after, and it turns out he has sexually assaulted numerous girls since then. Goddamn, I hate that grabby hit. One thing that instantly turned me on about my current partner is when we were starting to make out early on in the relationship I got kinda uncomfortable with where his hand was going at one point and edged out of the way, and he took the hint and didn't keep trying to go back there until the next date. Which was cool with me. Lol. The way a guy, or anyone for that matter, handles cues like that makes or breaks it. Not nearly as bad as some of the others in here, but here ya go. 1. I picked the guy up for a first date. And we went to dinner. During dinner, he was joking with me, saying things sarcastically like, ooh no, you definitely don't want to see my phone. I was obviously curious at that point, and he clearly wanted me to see something. So he let me take the phone and look at his photos. His password was the numbers corresponding to my name. There was an album of hentai that he explicitly told me he wanted to. There were also fully clothed, not in the slightest bit provocative photos of me in the same album. Ended things with him after that. And he started messaging my friends asking how to get me back. 2. Another first date. This guy was from Bumble. Guy picks me up. We go for dinner. Date overall was meh. He kisses me in the car after we eat. And I'm like, whatever, it's fine with me. Eventually he got too handsy, so I pulled away and he starts driving home. Like 1 block down the road he goes, ugh, I'm so hot I need to take my coat off. And pulls into another restaurant parking lot. Tries to kiss me again, and I pull away. Then goes on this long rant of, hey, I want to ask you something. But I don't want to be a peen. Is it okay if I ask? Like, is it weird? Like, IDK, I really want to, but I feel like I'm an asshole if I do. Which went on way too long, and then he goes, will you like suck my peen? I laughed and told him no way in hell and to take me home. Edit, forgot to add this. Turns out the guy in the second story had a girlfriend. My roommate knew the girlfriend's best friend and told her what happened. The friend told the girlfriend, and she was okay with it because I guess they weren't serious at the time. I checked his Instagram after the date and I was blocked. Him and the girlfriend are engaged now. I sincerely hope he's good to her and doesn't pull that hit again. WTF. Will you suck my peen? Gross. He obviously should have used suck me beautiful. Some mutual friends set me up with a guy they knew who they thought I would really like. They gave me his number and we texted for a while and set up a date. We agreed to get coffee and walk to a park across the street. So we get to the park and 20 minutes into the date he started trying to shove his tongue down my throat. I wasn't really into it at all, and it was like kissing a dead fish. I was clearly uncomfortable, but this guy would not take a hint. After a little while of deflecting his advances, I made an excuse and left. By the time I got home he had already told all of our friends that I was his girlfriend, and I was getting congratulations texts from people. I had to tell all those people that the date did not go that well, and that we were not in a relationship. Then I had to gently break it to the guy that I didn't feel a spark, and it wasn't going to work out between us. That guy is now married to a girl he's known for 6 months. I know that kinda guy. He's going to get cheated on and used. Then he'll sit in my bar crying that all women are terrible while simultaneously trying to pick up every girl that comes in. They'll move seats a few times because he stinks of desperation. But he'll find a reason to move seats to. Then I get to have the same conversation with him about respecting boundaries and providing some half-assed advice like if he'd calm down he'd have a better chance. He'll tip me fat and I'll tell him, "See ya tomorrow." I hope I never do. But he's always there and I ducking hate him. Lol, holy hit. Thanks for the story. Sounds like the guy values the status of in a relationship more than his partner. Immediately after meeting, he tried to offer me $10 for the jacket I was wearing in December. When I said no, he decided that instead of coffee, we should go thrift shopping so he could find a jacket like mine. Okay. He then shoplifted from the thrift store, stole my stamp card when I actually bought something, and then asked me to go home and have sex with him. I made an excuse about doing laundry and noped right out of there. I feel like this happened in Portland. Definitely sounds Portlandia-esque. Went to a nice Korean restaurant. He started making Rick and Morty references with the voices and everything. Then he flipped me off jokingly and said it means peace among worlds. Yeah. I dipped. It's like he's a living meme version of the worst of that show's fans. Man, it really bothers me that people can't just like things and not be ducking weird about it. I happen to love me some Ricky and Morty, but I'm also not a ducking weirdo. I met a guy at 8 at a restaurant, only to find out he'd been at the restaurant's bar since 6. Getting drunk. He asked me the same questions over and over. He took a phone call in the middle of the date and talked to his roommate about how the date was going, and went to the bathroom at one point and was gone for 15 minutes, definitely either passed out or he was puking. I don't know why I didn't leave when he was in the bathroom. I kinda understand getting to the bar early to start on a drink to ease nerves, but drinking for 2 whole hours before a date shows either some serious confidence or anxiety issues and or complete disregard for how they present themselves. The rest I might just chalk up to drunkenness. Just musing. Not trying to excuse the behavior. Certainly a disappointing way to spend the evening. The best part is that he wasn't drinking like Budweiser. He was drinking a local here that's 8.5% alcohol. He had to have had 4 before I got there and 2 during dinner. I honestly don't know how on earth he got home. This was a coffee date from Tinder. He seemed really nice from messaging. He kept talking about how he had been in love with his friend since high school, but he was working on getting past it by moving across the country to this city. But he still asked me for advice how to get through to her, since he had bought her some gifts or something before he left and she never said anything. Turns out because of this it was his very first date ever. At 26. He was really excited to lose his virginity and asked whose house we should go to. I said neither, and he was visibly disappointed. Turns out this was also his very first time drinking coffee as well, which he had done to impress me. And he wrote me a novel on his bus ride home about how he needed to pee, and he needed to find a public bathroom. But the right bathroom? This was a wall of text filled in with phrases in foreign languages. presumably also to impress me. He kept texting me, even if I didn't respond, and asked me out again right away. I had to flat out reject him and tell him to stop. He came across as so innocent about everything. I felt like a real asshole doing it. He was really excited to lose his virginity and asked whose house we should go to. I said neither, and he was visibly disappointed. That's hilarious. Sorry you had this hitty first date, but it makes for a hell of a funny story. It's a great story. He was good about everything. I just felt horrible being the one to shatter his hopes. He took me to a restaurant where a band was playing. He chewed with his mouth open and was generally horrendous at conversation. I excused myself to the restroom, and when I came back, a man was sitting in my seat. It was his father. Apparently his father played in the band at the restaurant. Whoa. He told me he would have sex with me even if I was dead. Wasn't into that. Was his name Ted Bundy? I went out with a local author and found out that he lived with his parents and delivered pizzas for a living, yet he was dead set on negging me the entire time. We both ended up blogging about the terrible date, and I ended up as part of the group blog that he wrote on because the other bloggers thought the whole situation was so entertaining. Edit. It was a blogger site called Dating is Weird. Can you post the blog? Yes, please share. We'd talked for over a week. He said he was good with polyamorous relationships and had been in them before. I drive 40 minutes to get to his place. We'd talked about clothes beforehand. I was dressed somewhat nice. Hanging out comfortable. But nice. He was in basketball shorts and a dirty shirt. He gives me a tour of his house asking for compliments the whole time. Even shows me the empty room with stacks of video games on the floor that he locks because he doesn't trust his housemate. I'm already feeling awkward as we sit down and start talking. At which point it comes out that his prior experience with polyamory involved him deciding that he wanted to make it a goal to disrupt the pre-existing relationships. Just because he could. That he saw making his meter jealous as a challenge. That he saw it as a challenge to try to replace the meter. I told him thank you for his time, but this was obviously not going to work. I spent less than 40 minutes there. I spent over twice as long driving as I did actually on the date. I was livid, but proud of myself for just saying nope and leaving. A man you barely know who is trying to get you to like me. I'm doing this primarily so I can emotionally manipulate you and someone you love and are clearly more attached to than you are to me. Does my house turn you on enough to make up for that? I'm Floridian. Don't hold it against me. And meet a guy from Arkansas who had recently moved to Florida. We chatted and really hot it off. He rented a small boat for our first date, which I thought was really romantic. I'm a decently known fetish model, and he knew of me. When I got down to my bikini on the boat, he fanboyed obnoxiously hard and was being kind of gross about it. A storm started to roll in. Being from the area, I knew when a storm was actually going to hit or not. He refused to listen to me and rode past the docks and got us stuck in a downpour. He wanted to go eat, soaking wet, but I asked him to just take me home. When he did, he tried to kiss me. Oh. No. I'm cold and wet now from you acting like a pig. He then asked if he could come in to dry off, which I agreed to. He then presented me with literal rope from Home Depot. I do some bondage stuff professionally and had been practicing and wanted to test it out. I denied him of that too, for multiple reasons at that point, and then had to tell him quite a few times that the date was over. He was really something special. He then texted me afterwards to say he realized it wasn't going to work out and he was sorry, but asked if we could just fool around. No. He probably wanted to take you out to sea because of the implication. What implication? We met at a bar a few nights before. A few days after our Uncon info exchange, he asked me out to drinks. Sure. Why not? We were having a decent time and we started walking towards a few clubs downtown, stopping at a bar or two on the way. He kissed me at some point. Nothing major. Not unwelcomed. The kisses continued just a peck here or there in between laughs and drinks. We were finally at a more club type bar downtown. We were joking about something. I was playing coy. He went in for a kiss. and I jokingly turned my head to the side. Just enough that he caught my cheek. He sat back in his chair and kinda stared off into space. Then he got up and walked outside. I waited for a while. I thought he may have gotten a call or something. I chatted with the people around me while I waited. After about 10 minutes I went outside, and he was nowhere to be found. I walked 35 blocks back to my car in the pouring rain. I called my roommate, because I couldn't believe that he just up and left. Then he called me. I asked why he left, and he said it was because I denied his kiss. Okay. Fine. I told him that he should have been an adult and talked to me about it. It turned into a screaming match. Then he begged me to come over, and I told him to kindly duck off. Jesus Christ, you dodged a bullet. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Ask Reddit videos.